This is a series called Barefaced Chat, and it's basically exactly what you'd expect from the Marketing Academy, in a sense that we used to have these sessions, as you would know, as a scholar or a fellow or a supporter, called Behind the Mask, and you'd sit around and you go, all right, drop the guard, let's have a real chat. Not just about the positive things that we're posting and podcasting, the success, the accomplishments, what we've achieved, but talking about how we've achieved that through the struggle. And so that's what this series is. And I'm very fortunate to have Ellie Norman here, who's an accomplished marketer. But what I particularly like is you're brave enough to sit down here and you're going to get some questions, because I'm not holding back.
The things we do,
Yeah.
Marketing Academy, that's love.
I'm not getting paid a cent either. I mean, I'm doing 3 days with these guys, and the reason I do it is because there's so much bullshit out there that if I don't plug into real humans, and which I love, is this sort of this spirit of adventure that a lot of the Marketing Academy people have, which is like, right, I'm going to go and strive, but I'm also going to struggle through that. I love that chat.
It's real life.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the fuel, that's the payment. This chat is the payment. So can you give us a bit of an idea of maybe your trajectory, your journey from a career point of view, and then we'll cut to the chase.
So top level.
Yeah, yep, top
before
level.
Before we get into the underbelly,
Exactly.
Career stuff is, took perhaps the unusual decision of leaving school at 18.
Right.
So in the UK, you do your A-levels, got 2 out of 3, so I failed my maths A-level. And really thought at that time, there's an expectation that I should go to university. And I thought, actually, I don't have the highest IQ, but I really love learning by osmosis and being in like a real world situation. So I went out to sort of work, agency side, festival, loved that, did that for 5 years, and was in a super fortunate position where my day-to-day client left. And so I went to second for 6 months and then became a client. And this was at Honda Automotive, so I was there for sort of 7 years. Lucky enough to get another telephone call, which took me into Virgin Media. Again, always marketing, so this was doing the advertising and sponsorship. And my filter in my mind is, what's the worst that can happen? Can it make you pregnant? No, so we're good. And
I never ask myself that, but I should.
well, my internal voice. And is it going to kill me? No.
Yeah.
So go see a new experience, learn new industry. And then I had a telephone call in 2017 from this wonderful American guy who had just landed in the UK. Liberty Media had just bought Formula One, and they needed someone to set up marketing and comms. I have a massive love for cars over speed, and I had sort of the media and entertainment experience. So I went and did that for 5 years, then left Formula One in 2022 and joined Manchester United. And I am now on garden leave and will transition to a new role on the 1st of October.
Wow. Thank you for that. I love the term of each chapter, like really chunky, meaty meals of each diverse sector. You got a lot of phone calls. That's a good thing. You made a comment earlier about not having the highest IQ.
Yeah.
Is that a joke, or is that?
Oh no, deadly serious. I mean, I've never had my IQ tested, but
what's that assessment based on? Just purely on maths?
Well, I mean, maths A-level was actually really hard.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank goodness for Google and calculators. That's all I can say.
Yeah. No, get it. No, I'm just trying to figure out if that's sort of like a playful thing, or you've actually made the decision that you don't have a high IQ.
I think I made the decision that I don't have that, and I think that comes from not enjoying academic studies when I was younger.
Even people that do academic studies don't enjoy them, surely.
But I think what I do have a real strength in is much more the emotional intelligence, people, connections, relationships. I love creativity, joining dots. And so actually that's a place I feel much more comfortable in. The older I've got, actually, the more I now enjoy learning, but learning in my own way.
Yeah.
So like doing the Mark Ritson mini MBAs, love that. It's on my terms. Listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
You know, even going to like little panels and watching stuff on YouTube. That for me is far easier. There's a lot visual. It's fun.
You're the same as me. Yeah,
Not
I mean,
textbook.
I take it to the next stage. I just can't read. I just fall asleep, right? Just looking at text on a page. But I'll love a video, a panel, and I'm pulling bits. I think I need it to be a richer multimedia experience.
I'm so with you. Like if I'm actually reading like a real book, I mostly do half a page and then I fall asleep.
Yeah.
So I never really get past. It takes me a year to read one book. The only book I can sort of read is I do love going to bed with a recipe book.
Okay, yeah. You love your cooking. You
Love
your
cooking,
eating.
eating, planning, and again visual.
Yeah. Okay.
Creativity.
So I'm going to go right between the eyes again. From an ego point of view, what has been your most humbling moment professionally?
So leaving Formula One.
Yeah.
And I think when you've been part of a really brilliant team, and actually you've really revitalised the sport, and people have fallen in love with it, and it's kind of put the energy and the grit back into it. To then come out of that, it took me a long time to actually rebuild the sort of confidence and to disassociate the identity of Ellie away from like Ellie at F1.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people watching that. I mean, that's pretty relatable, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
you know,
so.
that idea of defining yourself, especially when it's not on your terms and you leave, you can really be sitting there having an enormous amount of self-doubt and questioning yourself. And if you actually listen to your own thoughts too much, you can get really fucked up.
It's
You're the worst person to be listening to in those moments. Do you agree?
100%. And it's having, for me, it was just having like brilliant people around to really separate out, this isn't you, like you're not a bad person. Things, you know, the brilliant thing, the constant of time is everything is always changing. And actually what's been a brilliant fit for the first 5 years of growing and creating, now in that next chapter, I'm just no longer the best person for that. You know, I'm not good in a manage and maintain environment because I love changing things. I love improving things, but it hurts.
Yeah. And I mean, in a leadership role, we're making those decisions on other people's livelihood all the time, aren't we? I mean, I've got 75 people, and there's times we're letting people go, and it isn't personal. I can tell them it's not personal. I don't hear that, you know. But you're absolutely right. Sometimes it is purely like strategy shift, change, and it's a really vulnerable place to be. I'm curious about vulnerability, like. What role does that play in your leadership style, and has that evolved?
So I'm going to come to that. I think I was taught a really good lesson, which is be kind to the person, be tough on the process.
Yeah, okay.
In terms of, you know, when you're changing teams or you're letting people go, and then when you've been through that yourself, I think you carry that even kind of closer on actually just how do you have those conversations with people, because people are still brilliant and have like superhero strengths, but actually often the context changes.
Yeah.
But on the vulnerability sort of leadership side, I think I've always been known for, I think, being very sort of open and accessible as a leader. And I think as I've gone through that sort of journey, what you sort of I think learn or you start to understand is that people can sort of hold you up because you have a sort of title or something, and think that you might be invincible to sort of any of these sort of feelings or sort of anything. But actually, the more open that you can be with your team, I think the better it is for really kind of stimulating conversation. And so for me personally with my team, I've always been, I don't have all the answers. And the reason we're a team is because we complement each other. So actually, this is what I'm good at. This is what I'm not so good at. But collectively, like any good dinner party, you want to have a brilliant mix of people.
Yep.
But let's have the humility to really kind of know,
But
have that self-awareness and know, like, okay, this is what I bring, this is where I need help. And I think if you do that, hopefully you then set a tone and lead by example.
So here's a question, because there's going to be a new generation that only know a vulnerable leader, whereas we know 15 years ago, leaders never showed weakness, right? Because that wasn't setting the example. It was like, I mean, COVID really just shattered all of that bullshit and went, well, actually, no, you're pretty human, and I can see your undies hanging up on the laundry line over your shoulder during the pandemic, and all of a sudden we're, oh yeah, this is my dog and these are my kids, and all this corporate bullshit sort of faded away in a really positive way. But soon, you know, there'll be people only knowing a vulnerable leader. Can it be too much? Can you, have you ever had something you've shared be used against you? Because I can't help it. Like, I'm one of those people that everyone says, hey, loose lips sink ships, because I'm an open book no matter what, even in business, and it's dangerous because I'm like, well, if they ask me, I'm going to be honest, right? And my CEO and the board, they're like, oh, shit, if Jules is going to go in there. But yeah, I offer a lot, to the point where sometimes I'm probably the most emotional in the bloody team, and I'm the founder. Have you ever had that used against you?
I think I've certainly been perceived as being too nice, too accommodating, too adaptable. And I do think that that has been sort of used against me in a manipulative way. And what I think, if I kind of look back to those situations, would I even want to be part of that? So actually, are those people doing you a favour?
Yes, understood. And also, is it the perfect way to identify if someone's not on your team?
Yeah.
Is that that's a
Like
really
that.
good answer.
So, because, you know,
I give that
often,
an 8 out of 10, that answer.
thanks.
The other one's 7.5.
Room for improvement.
Well, I'd give you a 10, but you'd walk away. I don't want you
You've
clock
got to keep
that.
me here.
Exactly. I need you striving.
I do honestly think one of the things is just, I think what I've got really good at is like observing and actually picking up so much that maybe people don't see. And I think that is because I've got this strength in like emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And so actually just being able to like survey, gather all of this information.
Yep.
What you're not going to get from me is massive conflict, retaliation.
Yeah.
But I'll be like, yeah, I got your card.
Yeah. Yep.
Do I want to be part of this? Because the choice is within each of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where the power is.
So, your EQ is a super strength. How have you used that to really galvanize your team and execute exceptionally?
Yeah, but
Good question.
Thanks. I give that a 9 out of 10
well-
for question. Oh, 8?
Let's start at 7.5.
Shit. I got a real good one next. I can think of it.
but then, mate,
I think when you start in sort of new places, coming in just with like super low ego,
Yeah.
like, there is a lot to learn
Yeah.
from
Don't be threatened. Don't be threatened. Don't be threatened. Allow it. Yeah, I get that.
There is so much to be learned. So
Humbling.
going from sort of Formula One into Manchester United, Formula One was a huge success. It's like, well, different people, different sport, like
Start
everything is
again.
different, like
Yeah.
start again.
Yeah. Cool.
So I think going in and doing that, asking loads of questions, being curious, I think that really helps start to like build a team. And I think it's using that, just the basics of emotional intelligence. And then actually when people start to feel actually sort of there's a trust there and they can kind of be in their flow, it's just, okay, how do we now start to raise the bar? So challenge
Like
perhaps creativity or
Yeah.
this feeling of just like, no, we can say this is our space. We say what we want. We align. And then when we go out, are we lined up? Are we in? So have the disagreement in the room, but let's be lined up when we're out of it.
How do you deal with jerks?
Oh.
So there could be one in your board, there could be one as your
There's a lot
boss.
of them everywhere.
There could be usually male. There could be, like, how do you deal with difficult people in your style?
Normally just smile. So I will typically actually just slow down my breathing, listen, smile, literally take my time before I reply, and then do what's going to be done. And then normally my husband will be like, oh my God, he's such a cock.
Thank God for the external support.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an awesome one. In terms of what you want to achieve now, you've had a great diverse platform, which I think everyone should do in their 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
Just try everything. Are you now at that stage you're like, oh, actually, I'm not going to double back, and now I'm going to go deep?
I love marketing.
Yeah.
And so the sort of marketing swim lane for me is my happy place. And I'd rather commit to and stay within marketing versus thinking broader to sort of the CEO role.
Yeah.
And for me, that comes from a place of understanding people, what drives people to change their kind of behaviour. And I want to have impact.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to make a difference and have impact.
To who?
So always firstly with my team. So start with the team, because if I can have an impact with the team and how they think, feel, that's going to impact on what we do, which in turn should have a positive impact on, essentially the sort of target audience and the customer. And so for me, I really, leaving, the success for me is like leaving roles and still being in touch with people in your team.
Yeah, lovely. I saw a quote today on LinkedIn, which was from Richard Branson, and I suspect at Virgin Media, did you have much to do with Richard?
He's a good fun character, yeah.
Yeah. No, the reason I say that is he basically said, a lot of people put their customers first, and whether this is true or false or, just lip service from him, but it was like, you got to put your team first.
Yeah.
Because if you put your team first, they'll put the customers
Exactly.
first.
And that time at Virgin Media and having sort of Richard's sort of influence of those kind of core Virgin principles, as well as actually just a little bit of cheekiness, and you want to draw like a wry smile, you want to have fun, and really kind of cut through. But that people thing really comes from him. And
is it genuine?
yeah, super, super genuine. He's really brilliant, and he can also take the piss out of himself. Like, he can have a really good crack, and I love that environment. It was so commercial, and he had these two sort of worlds that didn't really kind of come together. This kind of Virgin sort of culture and yet the hard sort of commercial edge of driving subscriptions, reducing churn, but it was like really, really good.
Yeah, amazing. Stress levels.
Yeah.
When are you peaking, and are those moments becoming less and less, or how's your management of that area of our life, which is you want to strive, but you don't want to redline for too long?
Yeah, I think try to manage it. So I internalize everything. So always on the exterior, I will be like a calm swan.
Yeah.
But I see the impact it has, and it's things like sleeping. Actually, maybe you're not getting enough deep sleep, or I want to eat more than normal. And so what I try.
Where do you put all this, by the way? Do you just exercise?
I do exercise.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
And so actually, I always think about my shed: sleep, hydration, exercise, and diet.
Oh, okay.
Just as like some things that helped me from a stress point of view. And then what I would say is certainly over the last 14 months, my dad died really suddenly and he was only 70 and unexpected. And we went to see him at home and he wasn't alive.
You discovered him?
With my sister, yeah, so we were all together. 14 months ago having that, and then my sister who we were together was really in a really early stage of her pregnancy anyway. Beautiful daughter, and 4 weeks ago she had open heart surgery and that had some complications, so she's on the road to recovery now. But those two experiences for me have really crystallised actually what's important and where should I place my energy, and actually where should I just put everything into perspective.
Yeah.
That I care deeply about doing a good job. But when you have some things like that, you know what's important. And equally, I say my husband does a real job. And that for me is a brilliant barometer for the fact that no one dies with marketing. It's like, it's PR, not ER. So great level.
What does your husband do, just for those, because people are going to want to look that up?
He'll kill me.
Okay, well, jeez. I thought no one dies in marketing.
Well, let's not go there.
No, you don't have to. He's obviously James Bond. Okay, so I wonder though, how do you keep that perspective present? Because I too, you know, my mum's just very quickly deteriorated with dementia at 72, right?
Oh.
So it happened really quick, and like, and my thought was, shit, I got to live quickly, and so I started to try everything, like triathlons, and before you do it,
Is this legal things?
yeah, the
Okay.
legal things. No, I almost had a yes here, which is like, no, I just got to experience everything. I'm gonna fucking die soon, right?
Yeah.
So that was my reaction to it, to the point where I burnt out. So I had the opposite effect, which was I was trying to do too much. How do you keep the perspective of don't sweat the small stuff present in your life before you start sweating the small stuff? Because there's people up there that are having a shit time, which is hard to do because they're caught in their head. I haven't even eaten, they didn't serve enough food, it's too hot, I shouldn't have worn these shoes. You know, like we sweat small stuff all the time.
We do.
How do you go far out? I could lose my loved ones quickly.
Personally, for me, it's okay, what am I in control of? So if I am a battery and hopefully I wake up and my battery's full in the morning. If I think that I've got like 10 bars that are going to come down, ding, 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 what am I using those on in the day? And is it going to be worthwhile? Is it going to be memorable? Because, you know, like often those small details that you sweat. And so when we got married, just forget it.
They just...
You know, when you get married, you are, oh my goodness, everything. And, you know, at the end of the day, no one else knows what you got planned by like the two of you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So just roll with it.
Yeah. That's a 9.8
Oh,
answer.
what do we need to do for 10?
The final question is the legacy you hope to leave behind.
So I actually have thought about this. And when someone is reading my eulogy, the legacy I would love to have left behind is someone full of love, kindness, generosity of spirit. That would be the most important thing for me. Helped people out.
10 out of 10. You nailed it right there.
Jules.
Pipped yourself at the post. That was brilliant. By your nose. There you go, Ellie Norman. That was beautiful. Thanks for not only sitting in and agreeing to have the chat, but then to show up as you did with full honesty. I think that's absolutely brilliant, and I love the chat personally and selfishly.
I've enjoyed it too.
Awesome.
Thank you for being so as direct as you were.
I'm Aussie. That's the only way we come.
That's how you're made, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You can read the label.